Final preparations are underway here in London for Monday's funeral for Queen Elizabeth here at Westminster Abbey behind me. Thousands of military personnel took part in a full rehearsal early this morning. They marched through the streets towing the state gun carriage that will carry the Queen's coffin as the bagpipes played. The band also played the national anthem as onlookers watched it all unfold. I want to bring in ABC News foreign correspondent James Longman, who joins me now with more on these preparations. And James, we're now learning some new details about those funeral plans.
That's right. Just to talk you through some of the geography here, because, you know, London's actually quite condensed. We've got Westminster Abbey just behind me, but right behind there, that is the Palace of Westminster, and that is where the Queen is lying in state at the moment. So that will all end on Monday morning, about 6 o'clock. People will no longer be able to go and pay their respects. That'll be a very moving moment, actually, where the day begins, where the King and his three siblings, Prince Edward, the Princess Royal and Prince Andrew, will stand in vigil around the coffin. So they'll go into Westminster Hall and stand on all four corners quietly for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then the procession will begin, very short one, round here into Westminster Abbey for the beginning of the funeral. We know people are coming from all around the world, dignitaries, heads of state, for that. That'll be an hour, the service, and then full ceremonial again through the streets of London until finally the hearse is put in, the coffin is put into a hearse and it's taken to Windsor, where she'll be buried in a private ceremony. And Prince Philip, who we know died before her, he has been waiting for her in the royal vault. He'll be buried alongside her, Princess Margaret, and her father, King George.
I know the state hearse was specially designed. The Queen was part of that design so that the public could view her coffin inside as it arrived to London the other night, and now as it leaves London as well. But as this is all going on, people are lining up by the thousands. At the last check, the line was over 4 miles long. The UK government now actually has a website where you can track the line. And from the time that we prepared this conversation to now when we're actually having it, that line has already increased by a mile. James, I know you were out there this morning talking to some of the people waiting online. What's it like?
So it depends where you go in the line, because further back it's quite jovial, celebratory. I think it's not sad. I mean, people they realise why they're there, you know, to mourn. And there are actually faith teams dotted along the line. People feel that they'd like to speak to a spiritual guide. So whether that's a priest or a rabbi, they've got someone there who they can speak to. The Archbishop of Canterbury, actually himself, who's going to be leading the ceremony, has actually been down on the line speaking to people. But then as you get closer, it does start to become more somber. And, you know, this is tens of thousands of people who've been waiting in line from all over the world to say goodbye to Her Majesty, and they only get about 2 seconds. The line splits just before the coffin, and you can go either side of it. You can't take any photographs, and if you watch the pictures, it's very moving. People just come in a brief second, they bow, and they move on. But obviously, for some 4 or 5 hours, for some 10 hours, some of them sleeping through the night, it's all been worth it.
And the overall numbers expected to hit hundreds of thousands of people that will file past the Queen, but that's still a small number compared to the crowds they're expecting here as we head into Monday. Over 1 million people was the last prediction. As you said, there will be state leaders here, dignitaries here. How is London preparing for that from a security perspective?
Well, you know, the lines of people waiting, that's not unprecedented, because we've had other royals die before. We've had major funerals like this before. We've never had these numbers. These numbers will be unprecedented. There's the security precautions that you can see. I mean, a lot more police. If you look around here, you can probably see some of the sharpshooters on the roofs, much more. There are 1,500 troops in town, a lot more police on the streets. They've been drafted in actually from other parts of the country. There's more CCTV. There are sniffer dogs everywhere, so huge amounts of security. And then there's the precautions that you can't see. There's people, security services working behind the scenes, because of course it is you know, it would be a target for those plotting terror attacks. For example, we've got President Biden coming, we've got the Emperor of Japan, we've got the Emir of Qatar. Major world leaders are in town, so they'll be working behind the scenes to make sure to keep everyone safe. And then, of course, could there be anti-monarchy protests? We've seen a couple of those. I don't imagine they'll be huge, but they'll be keeping an eye out for that as well.
So many moving pieces to keep track of, but London is preparing for it all. James Longman, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.